Hello everyone, welcome to ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass 2022. We are in the second season and the fourth episode where we're going to see how you can integrate ServiceDesk Plus with Microsoft 365 products. I'm Steffi Benjamin and I will be your user educator for this session. And if you miss any part of the masterclass, don't worry, a recording will be sent to your registered email address in a couple of days. And if you're having any audio issues where you're not able to hear us or you're having any trouble seeing the screen, kindly take a moment to reload your browser page or log in from a different browser because that usually does the trick. And finally, if you have any questions or if you want to share feedback, you can always send them to my email address on screen or to hello@servicedisplus.com. The agenda for this session is we're going to see how you can bridge the gap between your service desk and the digital workspace using native integration capabilities. So we have the following Microsoft products on screen, uh, which integrate with Service Desk Plus, and we have this integration built into Service Desk Plus. So the products are Microsoft Azure AD, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, the Outlook add-in, and your calendar. So before we begin, I want to go over a quick poll and get your general consensus on how you think integrations with the Microsoft ecosystem can help your service desk. So I'll give you around 30 seconds for you to answer this question. You can say if it's because you think you want to promote collaboration or execute service desk operations quickly or ensure omni-channel communication, or if you think it's all of the above. All right. Thank you all for your responses. So, as a lot of you have reported, yes, it's all of the above. So, you can use Service Plus integration with Microsoft products to collaborate with your stakeholders across both the products, execute actions in Service Plus quickly, and of course, set up an omni-channel communication system where you can communicate with your technicians from the Microsoft products itself. So, thank you for your responses. With this in mind, I want to take you ahead to Zilker. Now, for those of you who are familiar with our masterclass presentations before, you would know what Zilker is, which is just a fictional use case that we use to explain how service display application can be used real time in an organization. So, for the sake of this session, let's say Zilker has been a company that has been handling its tickets primarily using traditional open source tools like emails, calls, and chat. So, off late, Zilker decided to transition to Microsoft products, and they decided to start by just implementing Microsoft products in specific departments. Now, the IT team is finding it hard to handle tickets and track the details across multiple platforms where they have to track on the open source tools and as well as the Microsoft products. So, with these challenges, some of the main issues that Zilker faced were number one, they had a lot of error and security threats because of multiple password management. So, ideally, we always encourage our users to use uh, different secure passwords for different logins. But in this case, when users have to log into multiple applications with a variety of complex passwords, they often end up making errors. So, in which case, they end up getting locked out of the application, or they resort to using a single password across all applications, which would have security threats attached with it. So, Zilker's users have been facing this issue. And on top of it, they have been taking a siloed approach to managing their services, where users would often use one channel to communicate half of the issue and then continue the conversation in a different channel. For example, we would often raise our issues to our technicians through chat. We would tell them so and so is the issue. At some point, we might take a call to explain them in person or over a call why the issue persists. And then when you go back later on, you would see that your call details are not recorded in the chat properly, leading to communication gaps. So this siloed approach has been especially hard on Zilker, given that they have to handle multiple tools in one go. So obviously, this led to delayed resolution because they had to depend on multiple tickets, multiple applications to handle the same tickets in many scenarios. And having disparate channels or separate channels to raise tickets led to inaccessibility issues for some users. So sometimes users might write their issues, say, from the Microsoft Teams channel, and they might report the issue there. A request would be created in Service Desk, but they might not have access to Service Desk, meaning they will not be able to track the ticket's progress. So they would resort to getting updates from the technicians in real time in Teams channel, which means the technicians are now overburdened with handling the issue while also giving constant update manually to the stakeholders. And finally, Zilker had neglected tickets because they were not able to track the technicians' availability properly. Now, enter ServiceDesk Plus. How could ServiceDesk Plus benefit Zilker? Now, with ServiceDesk Plus integrating with Microsoft products like Azure AD, you can enhance your data safety and security by using a single set of credentials. So you have what is called a single sign-on, where you can use one password and one login credential to authenticate your entry into multiple applications. And then you can collaborate with your stakeholders and your coworkers in real time across digital workspace, across multiple digital workspace, and have all of your collaboration recorded in one place uniformly. So, for example, you might have communicated your issue through Microsoft Teams, but you could later on go back and find that the same conversation was also appended in Service Display so that you don't have to jump across applications to prove what the issue is or refer to your old conversations. And thirdly, this would obviously result in swift resolution because the tickets are now managed from a single console. And then you can add Microsoft products as touch points to your service desk applications to allow the users to create tickets from multiple ways. So by default in Service Desk Plus, we have the facility where you can raise tickets to live chats through Zia app, which is an artificial intelligence program. You can also use the web forms in Service Desk Plus to create incidents or service requests. Now, with this integration, you can also create requests from Teams channels, from Outlook mailbox, and so on. So, therefore, you end up with much more touch points than previously. And finally, you can ensure that there is timely resolution by making sure that you're able to sync a technician's availability across multiple products. So, we'll now go ahead and see how you can elevate your ITSM experience by integrating service displays with the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. The first integration I want to talk about is Microsoft Azure AD integration. So, Microsoft Azure AD will help you manage your user data from a single console and reduce password related hassles. So, for those of you who are already familiar with how Azure AD works, I don't think I have to explain that the Azure AD is a secure product where users often rely because it's known for its secure credential management. So, we'll now go into the application and see how you can integrate Microsoft Azure AD with Service Plus and hack its benefits. So once you come into this application, which is the login screen on my screen right now. So once you log in, you're greeted with this home page, and this is for your administrator's login. So for the sake of this session, I will be logging in as the administrator, so I can show you how you can set up admin-related configurations for your integration. So once you're logged in, you go into this admin page, and in your admin page, you have integrations present under apps and add-ons. So we have the integrations here, and once you click, you have ManageEngine integrations and third-party integrations. So here you have multiple integrations that can be set up like Teams, Outlook, and Calendar. And as you can see, we have settings present here. So all of these can be configured through by using the admin guide for your reference. So the process is quite exhaustive, where you have to copy credentials from one product to another and so on. So we will not be going into details of how these integrations are configured. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of where you can configure them and what roles, which is you need administrator role in Service Desk Plus to configure the integration, and you will need relevant permissions in the application as well. For example, in Teams, you might need Teams administrator. In Outlook, you would need global administrator and so on. So if you have the permissions in both Service Desk Plus and the relevant product, you can set up the integration from this page. Now coming back to Azure AD, Azure AD is not an integration that needs to be configured here. For this, we have a completely different process of doing so. So first, you would have to go into your Microsoft Azure and configure it as your identity provider. And if you want, you can bring in Microsoft Azure's mailbox, or you can use Microsoft Azure to authenticate your mail server settings. So usually we use the mail server settings, so you can fetch and send mails from ServiceDesk Plus. So you can enter Azure credentials here in the username and password field and set up Azure as your authentication server. And if you want to, now this is optional, but often advised to do so. And if you want, you can also configure other services like Outlook and so on. So we'll be seeing all about that in a minute. Now, when coming back, a lot of users might be using Azure AD already, and you might find it easy to set up Azure, in which case you can select EWS, enter your Azure details here, and proceed with it. Now, back to the presentation, we were talking about how you can enable single sign-on using Microsoft Azure. Now, as I was saying, you have to configure Azure as your identity provider, and then you need to go to SAML single sign-on, which will be in your admin tab. So you have SAML single sign-on here. So once you go into this page, you can set up your identity provider details here. So all these details will be copied from Azure, and you will have a certificate generated there which you can upload here, and you can save these details. And once you save this, your users will be able to sign into ServiceDesk Plus in one click. And of course, may ensure that you have this option enabled. And let's say I want to log out and sign in with SAML. So you can see that I have this option called login with SAML single sign-on. If I click this, I will be directly authenticated into the application. I don't have to enter my username and password every time I commit. So this is how your SAML single sign-on works. Now, another benefit of setting up single sign-on with Azure AD is that you can enable dynamic user addition. So what's that, you might ask? Generally, when you create Service Displays, you might end up adding users from either manually, or you might add it from your Active Directory. Now, once you add in users from Active Directory, you would have to go into the user details page, which is here, and you would have to provide a login for each and every one of your users. You would have to provide them a name, you would have to provide them a password, communicate the same with the user, and so on. Now, this is quite an exhaustive process, especially if you're handling, say, 100 users or more. So you can avoid all of this hassle, because when you integrate Azure AD as your authentication server and you enable single sign-on, what happens is you can enable dynamic user addition here. So you can map the fields here, and say we have display name. So you can map it with the relevant field in Azure AD. And when the user logs in via single sign-on, even if they are not present in Service Desk Plus, the moment they click login with SIML single sign-on in the login screen, they will be automatically created in Service Desk Plus, and their user details will be fetched from Azure to Service Desk Plus. And what details need to be fetched is what you define here. You can select, you can fetch their middle name, or you can fetch their phone number, you can fetch their job title, and you need to enter the relevant field name here. So the job title field is present in Service Desk Plus. You need to enter what is the relevant field in Azure AD here, and ServiceDesk Plus will fetch the details in that specific field and upload it to the job title field in their details page. And if you have any additional fields configured, you can also map them to the relevant Azure AD field so that you can bring in those details as well. Now, a dynamic user addition is not automatically enabled once you click the save button. You can map the fields here, but if you want to enable dynamic user addition, you need to go to general settings and advanced portal settings. And here we have a feature called an option called allow dynamic addition of users not in the application. Only if this option is set yes, users will be able to log in dynamically into ServiceDesk Plus. If you select no, then users will not be able to log in, and you will have to go back to manually providing them credentials for each and every one of your users. So these are the main highlights of integrating Microsoft Azure AD with Service Plus. So going back, we just saw how you can add dynamic users, and how you can allow your users to log in using SSO. The next integration I want to talk about is Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams, as a lot of you are aware, it's a digital workspace where you can communicate with your coworkers and share files and other details and so on. Now, with Microsoft Teams integration, you can collaborate your ITSM environment with your digital workspace. So, therefore, you can perform your ITSM activities from Microsoft Teams and view your actions in live. So, I'll take you back into the application and show you how it's done. So, we have our Teams present here. So when it comes to integrating Teams with ServiceDesk Plus, we have two phases of it. One is the bot integration, and then we have Teams, the channels integration. So I'll first talk about the ServiceDesk Plus bot here. So again, like I explained a while ago, configuring integration is quite an exhaustive process. You can check out our admin guide because it has a complete step-by-step procedure on how to get it done. And you would notice that we have explained how you can download a zip file, a manifest file, and configure the bot there, and then upload it to Microsoft Teams. And once you do upload your bot, you will be able to access it from here. And you can see I have pinned the bot here. So we are in the bot screen right now. And the bot by default has a set of slash commands that you can use to perform certain actions in Service Displays. So let's say I want to create a request, which is the most common usage of this bot. So I can just say create request and enter it. And the bot will itself ask me to enter the subject and description. So I can say and create the request. And once the request is created, I will be able to access it directly either from my bot, or I can always I can access it directly here, or I can always go back to my request page and I will be able to view the request here. So you can see the request is logged here, and if I open, my description is also populated. Now, this is not the only thing. Obviously, we can do a lot of other actions, like you can view your pending approvals, you can select instance, you can view all your requests, and so on. Now, the commands you see here are the default commands. You can also create more commands using custom commands option. For that, we have to go back into our admin tab to the integrations page. So here we have integrations, and under third party we have Teams. So when you're configuring your Teams, you will probably end up adding your details here, but for custom commands, this will be populated only after the Teams integration is complete. You will have these two tabs here, and in this bot command you can create new commands. You can enter the name and description. So let's say I want to view approvals. I'm sorry, needed approvals. I can add a description, and I can select a custom function to decide what action must this command do. Now, if you're familiar with custom functions, which is, I mean, you might have heard about it in a previous masterclass. So they are basically deluge based functions. So custom functions will help you perform any action in service displays. So you're not limited to just one module or one kind of action. You can completely decide what you want to do with it. You can say create a change request. You can associate change request to an existing request. You can create purchase request, associate contracts, and so on. So basically, you can perform any action, and these actions need not be something that has to be done via UI. So some actions like creating a custom command might be in UI, but some actions are not, which is where custom functions come into play. So you can select the custom function here and click save and click add. I'm sorry, and then you can go back into your Teams, and you will be able to view the action from, and you'll be able to view and perform the command from your Teams channel going forward. So you can see that the action I just created is here, and if you want to execute it, you can just use slash enter the command and it will be executed. So this is how custom commands work. And with bot, we also have another advantage where you can get a unified console. You can view these requests in Service Plus right within your bot. So in this tab here, which is called a personal tab, you will see that all your requests, uh, like it appears on Service Plus, is fetched and displayed in your Teams login. So you can perform a number of actions here, like assigning the request to a user. You can close it, you can delete it, you can export it either as PDF or in other formats, or you can open the request and say you can add notes to it, edit it, which is what we call spot edit. You can simply, let's say, edit a field and so on. So you can see that you can also associate a request if needed, share it with other users, and so on. So this is quite an exciting feature, because a lot of times users have to jump across applications. Even though you have the facility to quickly create or perform certain actions, sometimes we feel more comfortable jumping to the application so you can access all the features. But by unifying the UI across both the products, you are able to achieve it right within your Teams account. So going back, this is it for your service display bot in Microsoft Teams, but we do still have the channels to talk about. So you might be already familiar with Microsoft channels, where you collaborate with your users and just talk to them. You might have certain groups for certain purposes and so on. Now you have a way of integrating Microsoft channels with your support groups in Service Plus, so you can get updates or notifications from your Service Plus into your Microsoft Teams. So this feature is actually available only from version 14 in Service Plus. This and the custom commands feature. So if you're not able to view the feature in your product, then you can upgrade it to the latest version, and you should be able to use them. To configure notifications to configure notifications to be displayed in channels from Service Plus, we have to go back into our application in our admin tab, and we have the notifications tab here. Here you can map the support group with the relevant Teams channel. So I've said that the hardware problems support group in Service Plus is the same as Zilker's channel in my Microsoft Teams account, and I can simply update it. And now let's say I'm creating a request. Okay, so let's create a request in Service Plus, and let's say the details are, and let's select the group as hardware problems, which is what I mapped as the Zilker channel in Teams. So once I create a request, if you go back into your Teams channel, you would notice that the same request is now the same alert about the request is now shown in your Teams channel itself. So the support group members don't have to log into Service Plus to see if they have new request waiting. They can see the requests come in right within their Teams channel and pick it up if needed. So they can also reply to the request right here and so on. So you can see the request has been picked up by Heather. Now if you go back into Teams, I'm sorry, Service Plus, you can see the request is updated here as well. So this is how your syncing works. And if you want to ensure that you are getting notifications from your support group into Teams, you have to do two things. One, you have to add the bot to your channel. So you have to go here and click add and click select get bots. And here you can select the bot. So let's wait. Okay, so at the moment we have number of bots here. So I have already added the bot, so I won't be able to add it again. But once you select the bot, it will be instantly added into your channel. And then you have to also ensure that your your notification rules are enabled in automation. So we have notification rules previously. We discussed about it in one of our older masterclass, which is basically you send out notifications to users for various events. So you can scroll down and you have technician notifications present here. So you can enable the notifications, select the users to be notified, and click save. And if you do not select these notifications to be sent, then you might miss out receiving the notifications in your channel. So this is how your Microsoft Teams login and Teams integration works. So going back, So we just saw how you can raise tickets using slash commands, or how you can perform other actions like viewing pending approvals and so on. We also saw how we can pick up tickets coming into your support group, assign them to users, and so on. And we also saw how you can create custom commands, chat with your service desk technicians, where if the technicians are present in both a Service Desk Plus and the Microsoft Teams account, you can communicate with them directly using the channel. And we also saw how you can map channels to groups and receive notifications. Now, the next integration I want to talk about is Microsoft Outlook. Now, Microsoft Outlook will help you, the integration with Microsoft Outlook will help you perform various service desk actions on tickets right from your mailbox. So, previously, just now we saw how Teams will help you achieve the same. Now, we are going to see that how the Outlook integration will also help you perform service desk actions right from your mailbox so you don't have to jump applications. So going back into the application, we have Outlook here. So this is your Outlook mailbox, and let's say I have a mail here. All right. So yes. So I just we just created this mail in Service Desk Plus saying unable to open email, and we picked it up. So let's create another request and see if we are able to receive the mail here. So click new. Let me select a template, a requester, and they need to select the right group and add the request. Now I've configured already settings in place so that the group members will be notified every time a request is created. Now if I go into my Outlook, you would see that the new request, the request you just created is shown here, and I can pick it up, and the request will be picked up by the logged in user. So if you go back into the request, it should be auto updated. So let me refresh the page. And yes, the request is updated with a new technician. So this is for technicians. Now if you are a requester and you created a request, you will also receive notifications for the same. So let me show you how it works. Let's say the user, let's imagine the user is logging in and creating a request for themselves. So they are saying that they have network issues, and add the request. Now if you go back into your mail, you should be receiving the request. Yes, and since you are the requested this time and not a technician, you will be able to add a note. So you can add a note saying, um, and save the note. And now if you go back into your request, you would see that the notes will be added automatically. Let me just quickly refresh the page. Yes, so the note we just added is automatically reflected in the request also. So the difference I want to point out is if you are a requester, you can add note while the technician can pick up the request right from their mailbox. And of course, you can use the view details button to instantly jump into Service Desk Plus and view the request details. And the third kind of stakeholder in any request is the approvers. So if you are an approver, you can also perform approval actions right from your login box. So if you want to say approve a request, you can enter your comments and click approve. So if you want to send approval mails, you can send them right from the request page again. So this you might have seen us perform all of this in a previous masterclass, but I'm just repeating the actions so you can get a clear picture of how it's done. So I'm selecting the user as the approver and sending an approval mail. And now if I go back, I would have received a mail saying my approval is required. So I can enter my comments, approve the request, and the approval will be reflected in my Service Desk Plus application automatically. And I can also reply and forward this email. So I can reply to this email, enter my decision, and send it. Now, here is where we need to make sure that if you have your Outlook mailbox configured in the mail server settings. So previously I was telling how you can configure Azure AD as your mail server settings page, so that you can authenticate incoming and outgoing mails. So that would help you if you're relying mainly on Azure AD. But if you can also configure Outlook in your mail server settings. In this, let me take you back there. So you can also configure Outlook in your mail server settings. This will ensure that when you reply, so here is where you configure. When you reply to mails or you forward them, the replies and forwards will be automatically appended to your request conversations if the Outlook configurations are present in the mail server settings. So we have the request details page, and here is where you would notice the conversations. So if you have configured Outlook in mail server settings, you will be able to reply and forward right from your mailbox, and all your replies and forwards will be added in ServiceDesk Plus as well. So this is how you can integrate and hack away Outlook's mailbox to perform actions quickly. So going back, we just saw how you can pick up tickets, reply to requesters, add notes, and so on. We also saw how you can check the status of requests instantly by using the View Details button, and how you can approve requests quickly. We also have another kind of integration with Outlook, which is called the Outlook add-in integration. So the Outlook add-in will help you access your service desk right from your mailbox, so you can create and resolve tickets quickly. Now, we just saw about Outlook integrations once, and you might be wondering what's the difference between both the integrations. Well, the main difference is when you are doing when you are integrating and you're using the actionable messages, which is where you're using these actionable buttons, you can only perform actions in requests that are related to you, or where you are a stakeholder. Either you are a technician or a requester or an approver. But using the add-in integration, you can also perform much more actions in requests may not be in your that may not be in your hand right now, but you're still related to it either through a support group or for some other reasons. So I'll show you how it's done. So we'll log into another parallel credential for this. So here we have your mailbox ready. So let's say I have a request here. I could use the add-in. Okay, first let me explain how the add-in works. So once you configure Outlook integration in your integrations tab, which would be this page. Okay, let's load in, and okay. So we have the Outlook integration here, but you would notice this is only for actionable messages. This is not for Outlook add-in. For Outlook add-in, we have a different set of process, which is explained in the admin guide again. So you would have to download a zip file, configure it, and re-upload it into your Outlook mailbox using the add-in button. So in under my admins, you can upload your add-in file, and then you will be able to use it right away. So, and once you added your add-in, you should be able to select it here, and you will be able to convert your email into a incident or a service request right away. So you can click yes, convert, and you can select the template which should be used. You can enter your details. So let's say I'm going to use this. You can enter my details here. Let's can provide more details and click add request. So the request is now added. And if and I can view the details right from this add-in, or I can always go into my application, and I can also track my request from there. So let me show you. So the new request we just created is present here. And now if I want, I can also create new requests as well. So let me close and restart it, and so I can show you much more clearly. So when you open, you can either convert email as request, or you can simply go to the list view, and you can view all your requests that are related to you, either all the requests or all the open requests, all requests in your group, all requests awaiting your approval. This is completely dependent on what your permissions in your login are, but the idea is that you can access requests where you're neither a requester or a technician or an approver. And of course, you can also create requests here from scratch using this add icon here. and you can enter all your request details. If you want to bring in these email details, and let me take, okay, you can clear the request. Okay, if you want to bring the email details into this form in one click, you can use this button here. Or if you want to not be in, you can just delete it and create a template from scratch, create a request from scratch. And you can also open a request and perform other actions like editing a request, replying to it, or adding notes. And all of these conversations will be appended in the relevant ticket. So while editing a request, you can perform actions like assigning it using the technician field here. So you have a technician field, you can assign it to a field as a technician and update the request. So this way you can perform a multitude of services operations related to request module right from your Outlook mailbox. So going back, we saw how you can convert your emails into tickets. We then saw how you can raise new tickets with the required templates. We also saw how you can assign tickets, pick it up, or simply edit it to perform number of actions. And we finally saw how you can reply to requesters right within the add-in pane. The last integration I want to talk about is Microsoft Calendar. Now, Microsoft Calendar integration will help you track the availability of technicians so that you can manage your ticket allocations properly. So by default in ServiceDesk Plus, we have a calendar present already where you can configure your availability. You can it's under the Home tab and Scheduler sub tab. So you can configure your availability here, record your leaves, and configure backup technicians as well. So you can see we have a leave here configured already. You can also cancel leaves and so on. So a lot of times organizations like Zilker, especially when they're moving to new products, they would start relying on the new products features. So in Outlook also we have what is called an Outlook calendar, where you have a number of actions where you can manage your availability. Now, if your users are used to handling two products, they might end up resorting to one product as the favorite, while the other might not be updated, or they might have to duplicate their records twice across different products. So you can avoid this issue, and instead of forcing your users to resort to one product, you can simply sync both Services Plus Calendar with Microsoft Calendar, so that if you record leave in one application, it will automatically be shown in the other. And again, to set up Microsoft Calendar integration, you have to do it from the admin tab from the integrations page I just showed a while ago. So it's also a lengthy process which you can find out in our admin guide for detailed explanation. So once you do set up your integration, you can simply come back and start recording your leave here. So let's say I want to record a leave on November 25th. So I'm going to add a leaf and say personal day and save it. Now, if I go back into my calendar, the leaf should reflect itself here in a couple of minutes, or I can always just refresh the page and it will be reflected automatically. So you can see the personal day is here. And now let's say I want to take one more day extra. I can drag and drop, which is like an interesting feature in Outlook. But once I do this and then I go back into ServiceDesk Plus, you would notice that the same will be reflected in ServiceDesk Plus as well. So let me refresh the page. It would usually take a couple of minutes for this to reflect. Okay, let me drag it even more. Yes, you can see that the leaf has reflected all the way across the 29 like I just did. So this is bidirectional, meaning if I edit this leaf in ServiceDesk Plus and say I delete it, it will automatically be deleted in Outlook as well. It would disappear in less than few seconds from this calendar as well. But again, we'll just refresh it so it happens quicker. All right, it should take a while. Yes, and you can see it just went off. So this will help you bidirectionally manage leaves, and instead of jumping across applications or missing out on the technician's availability, you can keep a proper score of who's available and who's not. So we just discussed this feature, and we have come to the end. I want to give a quick recap and ensure that all the integrations are quite clear. So first we saw how you can add users dynamically and enable single sign-on to reduce password-related hassles using Azure AD integration. We then saw how you can create a collaborative ITSM environment by integrating Microsoft Teams with ServiceDesk Plus, and how you can perform quick actions, view the request tab within your Teams account, and how you can sync notifications across both the applications. We also then saw how you can perform uh, similar actions like services actions right from your Outlook mailbox without shifting windows. We then saw how you can use the Outlook add-in to create tickets quickly from your mailbox. And finally, we saw how you can track the availability of your technicians to manage ticket allocation using the calendar integration. So if you do have questions in future, you can always send them to hello@servicesplus.com and we'd be happy to assist you. So meanwhile, I have some exciting news and information to share with you. So first, I would like to request you to take some time to review us on Gartner. So you can open the Gartner link that is on my slide and you can sign in with your LinkedIn credentials, or you can create a Gartner account and you can submit your honest review of Service Desk Plus. And after your submission, you will receive a confirmation email from Gartner, which you can forward to hello@servicedeskplus.com. And you don't have to forward your review, just the confirmation mail will do. And in doing so, we will send you a $25 worth Amazon gift card. So this is just to get your honest thoughts and ideas on what to think about ServiceDesk Plus. And now for the exciting news is that ManageEngine has been named a challenger in 2022 Gartner Magic Quadrant. So we are very excited to tell you that this is the third consecutive year which we are placed in the Magic Quadrant. So thank you all for your feedback so far and for your support. So we are very happy with this, and we hope we continue to serve you, to help you in ways possible. So do take your time to leave your feedback in the Gartner account, and also at the end of the session, we will be asking your feedback about this session. So you can leave your comments on what you liked and what you would like for us to work on, and we would love to incorporate your comments in the upcoming sessions. So we have one more masterclass episode left, and we will be meeting you next month for it. So until then, this is Steffi Benjamin signing off on behalf of Service Plus. Thank you and have a wonderful day.